everyone, welcome to my channel, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be doing a story time. It's going to be another airport story time, so yeah, this one's kind of a bit shorter and it's more recent than my other one, so I can remember everything and I won't have to collect my thoughts as much throughout this video, hopefully, because as much as it's hard enough to like watch on YouTube, it's also hard to edit when I'm just sitting there trying to remember what happened. So here we go, starting the new year right with story times that I can actually remember. So let's get into it. Okay, so the story starts this past summer that happened. I was going to Italy with a friend of mine and we had gone to the airport in Toronto because it's the closest one to where I live. There's no other airports around there and it's an international one, so it's the only one that will fly us out to not domestic places like in Canada. So basically we had gotten into the airport, said goodbye to our families because it was our first time for both of us traveling by ourselves. I've traveled by myself with my brother before, but we had a hostess with us, so it was kind of different. Like we still had someone kind of watching over us. This time we were completely by ourselves. So we get into the airport and our flight was supposed to take off at like, I think it was sometime in the evening, like 5 or 6 o'clock. Yeah, and then we were supposed to get there the next morning because of the time change and all that. So we got into the airport, we did all of our security checkups, all that kind of stuff, put our luggage on the plane, and we get to the waiting area. So right away, the waiting area is super packed, as usual. Where we were flying to, which is Rome, and then from Rome we take a smaller plane to where I live. There are a bunch of other planes that go to Rome, but a lot of the time people try to go as soon as possible, you know, the usual airplane stuff. I don't really have to explain that to you guys. So basically there's a lot of people on this plane. So we found a waiting area, we started waiting there, and an hour goes by and another hour goes by because, you know, you're there however like 3 hours early. So eventually we realized that we haven't boarded the plane yet and it's supposed to be boarding time. So we're like, okay, this is weird. So we're like, you know what, let's just get up and see if like we start boarding soon, because I'm sure we will. So about another half an hour delay and then we finally get boarded onto the plane. So we're like, okay, sweet. So we get onto the plane and we're kind of just sitting in there and the plane hasn't taken off. And so we're like, what the heck's going on? So we're sitting there and another half hour goes by. So we're like, okay. So the only good thing about this story is that we were lucky enough to be seated in a place where 2 of the passengers didn't show up, so we got a 4-seat aisle to ourselves. So we were thinking that maybe the people were waiting for them and that's why we haven't taken off yet, but we weren't really sure. Eventually the pilot comes on, he says, sorry for the delay, but there are some people that didn't board the plane and they left their luggage on. So someone who has flown rather frequently, like myself or anyone else who can relate to this, I've never ever had that happen to me, and I fly about every 3 years or so to go visit my family in Italy, so this was really weird. So like immediately your head goes to, oh my god, there's a bomb on the plane or there's something really dangerous on the plane. I was just freaking out. My heart was literally in my stomach. I didn't know what was going on. So basically what happened after that was they got all the luggage off and the plane took off. So to Italy, if you've never flown there before, it's basically a 9-10 hour flight depending on wind and all that kind of stuff, but it's anywhere between that. Even sometimes it can be 8 hours, but really rare that it would be 8 hours. So what happened is that we landed at the airport in Rome, I believe. I don't think we transferred yet. Did we? Yeah, okay. So usually what happens is when we fly to Italy, we go to Rome, and then from Rome we take a smaller plane to where we live. But this time my aunt was meeting us directly in Rome because they live about a couple hours from there, so we were going to kind of tour around Italy before we headed back home. So we land in Rome and we go to the place where you get your luggage because we had both shipped out a luggage each. So we were waiting for our luggage to come by. Mine came by, I had my carry-on, I was set, but my friends didn't come by, and we were standing there for about 20 minutes, I would say, and we still hadn't seen it. So we're like, this is weird. And like my friend saw a piece of luggage that was going around that looked very similar to hers, but it was missing the band that was wrapped around it. So she was like, it's definitely not mine because mine has a band on it and I don't want to take someone else's luggage and look through it to see if it's my stuff. So we're like, okay, so we got to go to the place where you claim your lost luggage so that they can try and track it for you. So we start waiting in line. About another half hour goes by and I'm like, okay, I better call my aunt at this point because she's going to be waiting for us. So I call my aunt and I'm like, hey, we're missing a luggage. And she's like, what? I can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. And so like, we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to be stress-free, but we don't know how much longer it's gonna take. So you gotta give us about an hour or so. And she's like, no problem. Like, don't worry about it. So we're waiting in this line, and we're just about to get to the very front, and my friend's like, you know what? Let me go back and check that luggage one more time, because I had this weird feeling that it's mine and that the band just came off. And we're like, okay. This is after we had moved from 2 service desks, because we went to one and they told us to go to a different one. And then from that one, we had to wait about another 20 minutes just to even like move up about a meter. So we both were exhausted. We both were so done with all this. Like, we just wanted to go home. Like, we didn't even care at this point. Like, my friend was at the point where she was like, I don't even want to, like, wait for this line for the lost luggage. Like, oh, well. Like, we were just getting both so annoyed. So we go back to the place, and she's like, okay, I'm going to feel really bad but if it's not mine, but I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to open it up. She opens it up, and lo and behold, it's her luggage. So I think, like, well, the reason why we jumped to conclusions so quickly was because of the whole debacle of them taking luggage off the plane, that we thought that her luggage may have been one of those luggages that got taken off on accident, because it does happen, and it could have gone transferred to somewhere else. Like, it's not an uncommon thing, obviously. So, and I think honestly we were even flying, oh no, I was gonna say I think we were flying Air Canada, but it wasn't Air Canada. But anyway, so we found her luggage, everything turned out fine, but it was definitely the weirdest experience for me. I've only ever lost luggage once, and that was flying to Florida, so it wasn't too bad because the flight time was a lot shorter, and it was going to be sent to my grandparents' apartment, so like they would have been coming back to Canada anyway, so they would have brought it back. However, if we had lost it in Italy, I don't know when that luggage would have come back, because no one from Italy would have been coming to Canada. So we were just really glad that like we checked that luggage, because we never knew. So kind of little lesson for you guys as well. If you're traveling and something goes wrong with your luggage, always try and get help first. But if you see something that looks like it's yours, even if it's somebody else like carrying it and it looks almost identical to yours, and it very well could be yours, it's not a bad idea to check, or even ask the person if you can check their luggage. I mean, I know it'd be super embarrassing if the person has it, but you never know. So that is the end of my story time. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up down below. Comment down below what else you want to see, and I hope to see you guys in my next one. Bye.